What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. This is Mike,
This is Tyrone.
This is Menelik.
This is Hollister.
and yes, let's begin. A lot of stuff has transpired over this week. As we all know, the playoffs have been ramping up. You know what I mean? People getting fired, hired, but one of the biggest things in the news that came to a shock to me, besides me going back to the work for the whole week because I haven't been to work since March, for real. And it wasn't too bad. Was hearing because my phone was like on a like not airplane mode. I was in a place where I couldn't get any reception, and I get all these messages from my cousin, my brother, saying that Steve Nash is the new coach for the Brooklyn Nets, and I was like, Steve Nash. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to get before I go in, I just want to get your point, your opinion on it, Hollister, since you're a fellow Brooklyn Netter.
Yes, sir. I mean, when I first read it, I was surprised. Like Steve Nash, like everybody else, like out of all coaches they could have potentially hired, but I guess they must know something that we don't know. That probably he could potentially help KD and Kyrie develop, which he did help KD develop, and when he's in Golden State, he might also have a good connection with Kyrie to get Kyrie to keep his head on straight and help him improve as a point guard.
Mhm.
But I don't think it's going to work out in a sense where like they're going to bring some new kind of offensive scheme to the NBA that they've never seen before. And I think they could potentially really make some serious noise with the roster they have, and he can help the younger guys develop and get better, like Karis LeVert and all those guys, Jared Allen, and they could potentially really win the whole thing next year.
But they're going to win the whole thing next year. But yeah, I get that. Menelik.
All right, so yeah, I was shocked, surprised, definitely wasn't expecting that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that they wanted to make a splash in a sense, do something unexpected. And I feel like maybe they felt some of the other guys out there, they know what they would get with them, whereas they didn't know what they would get with Steve Nash. I also definitely think it has something to do with his connection with Durant. Durant is their star. I think, and Steve Nash, he was, he's a Hall of Famer, two-time MVP, great basketball mind. They have that connection. I do feel like Hollister was saying that they feel like he could maybe help Durant develop. I mean, it still was a shocking or surprising thing because with all the coaches out there, and people with a little more proven track record, some people would think that okay, they would have went for one of those guys. But I think, and I know he also had ties to Sean Marks, who was running a lot of the stuff in Brooklyn. So I think it was several factors that led to the Steve Nash signing. Once again, it was definitely shocking, definitely out of left field. It's definitely a risk. It's one of those things where it's going to be looked at as though this was genius or this was terrible. What were they thinking? I
They
think it's
four
one of
years
those things
on them,
where,
so
yeah, because they definitely believe in him because they gave him 4 years.
yeah.
So, but I mean, we all know too that depending on how it goes, even with 4 year contracts, they would, sometimes clip coaches within the midst. But I do think that one, he had the ties to Sean Marks and Durant. They probably feel like he will be good for Kyrie. And I mean, he does have a good basketball IQ, basketball mind. So I
Yeah.
think it was, basketball reasons
Hmm.
for the most part. Uh, and as far as what you talked about, the Stephen A.
Oh, we gonna get into that after
Oh, are we
we
gonna
have
get
the
into that?
film.
All right,
Yeah,
my bad.
I'm
All
gonna
right,
get.
yeah.
I'm gonna lead
All
it.
right,
I'm
so
gonna lead
yeah,
it
that.
after that. So
All
save
right,
it.
so yeah, on the general sense,
Hmm.
definitely surprised, but I think it could work out. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, and at the end of the day, they got Katie, Kyrie, so it's gonna be real hard for them to look bad.
Yeah,
But we
exactly.
never know. All
Yeah,
right.
you never know. Tom.
Yeah, this is just another case of hooking your boys up with a job. To me,
Yeah, see,
there was a
that's
lot
gonna be a
more.
little. They're gonna. That's gonna be a little bit into the Stephen A. joint, but go
No, no,
ahead.
no, no, no. I know, but a lot of there was a lot of better candidates. I thought Mark Jackson might have been a better candidate, or
Yeah, yeah.
you had wishful thinking talking about Greg Popovich, but
I get into that after this joint.
I think I think
He
that
did sell his mansion, bro. Let me stop.
well, I don't
Clearly,
know. I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know where that will really get you. I don't know where that really get you in a hiring for him in Brooklyn. But I think that the hiring is a bit surprising. Nowadays these guys are looking for those first time, you know, inexperienced. Like that's the new trend now with a lot of these NBA teams. They want to get that new guy and mold them and bring them up as a coach. You know, they did it with Kid before and stuff like that. So um, I think they could have hired someone else better. I mean, a lot of times in the NBA, point guards are could always come out as being some of the best coaches, with the exception of Magic Johnson. A lot of times a lot of these point guards can become good coaches. So I look at it like that. Maybe because he's a floor general and he was a great point guard, one of the greatest of all time. So I can understand that. I think I didn't expect him to be a coach. I didn't see this coming. But if his name was brought up before this, I would have said yeah, he would have made a great coach.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little surprising. But
Okay.
like I said, it was just buddies helping out a friend get a job.
Yeah. I agree to that sentiment. Like you said, nobody even knew he even wanted to coach. So it's like, we think about all the other candidates that they had. I know they gave Jock Vaughn like a,
Assistant.
I know he's an assistant, but they gave him like, one of those kind of, all right, you were the interim. We're going to give you the opportunity to interview, even though we're not going to give you the job, but we'll give you the opportunity to do it. And then you lead into this thing. Like I see Steve Nash. I was like, Steve Nash. Like, look, like I said, as a player, he was a great player. He dug himself up to being like a two-time Hall of Famer. To Malik and Hollis's point and stuff like that, he does have a great basketball mind. So, to say that he won't help in some capacity, I would say, that'll be kind of like ignorant of us to think that way. But for the most part, to Tyron, your point is like a friend getting hooked up. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you have a lot of other qualified candidates who had coaching jobs and different things like that who didn't get them. Now, granted, I know sometimes people want to get like a new flavor, a new outlook, and new take on it. But a lot of these new coaches, stuff like that, they starting to get to this point where, hold on a second. They trying to get to this point where, they don't really look at coaching as they used to look at coaching, right? They want more of a player therapist kind of, in the sense where it's like, we're gonna make you guys feel nice. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why they kept Jock Vaughn on. And they said Nash wanted Dirk Nowitzki to be part of his team and all this stuff like that. And Dirk was like, nah, he don't want to commit 100% to like basketball like that in the moment. So to me, it's just the fact that Nash is just a guy who has a good relationship with Kevin Durant and also with Kyrie. You know what I mean? He worked with Kevin Durant as a development coach as far as developing certain things and working on certain moves of what he can see. And Kevin Durant, took those things and added it to his game. Not trying to say that he didn't, have some skill set, but, honed in on certain things. And they're going to utilize that relationship and hope that he can do the same thing with Kyrie and the other guys, while Jack Vaughn is the one actually drawing up plays. Not trying to say that he's not going to have his 2 cents and like kind of draw up some plays here and there. As a point guard, you're going to see things a little bit differently as if you were playing. But as far as a traditional or conventional coach, he's not going to do that. Now, leading up to what Stephen A. was talking about the other day, saying his white privilege, I kind of do agree with that to a certain extent. And it shows, it's evident where, he is a white man, even though he does a lot of good things. He helped out a lot of people of color. He was a good stand-up dude as far as you hear about him. You know what I'm saying? He's a good dude. He don't even care about that thing. You know what I mean? He's a solid dude. So I'm not taking nothing away from him. So I'm going to be like Stephen A. in a sense, not taking nothing away from him. But at the end of the day, it is clearly that it shows that, because he got hooked up from his friend. He has no coaching experience at all. Never coached a day in his life. And then nobody even knew he wanted to be a coach. And all of a sudden, boom, he gets this job. They didn't even interview like Mark Jackson. They didn't even do their due diligence to interview like, other qualified candidates. You know what I mean? And not giving them the opportunity, I think, is messed up. Now, in regards to what Richard Jefferson has said, and I'll let you guys get in afterwards, with the Jason Kidd and Derek Fisher, that's 2 different situations where it's still similarly what Tyron was saying. First of all, with the Jason Kidd thing, right? The Nets picked him up because he was a former Net. also they needed some star power. The Nets wasn't really doing great. They needed something to bring people to the arena to be excited. So it was a business move. And then when he got the job with the Bucks, it's just because his boys and them bought the team. So they gave him a job until they fired him. He did help Giannis. He did help the team to a certain degree. But Budenholzer is the one who took them to the next level for them to get swept by Miami this series. But as far as the Derek Fisher wasn't Phil Jackson's first choice. Derek Fisher was just a person that he picked because of the fact that he knew the triangle. He didn't want to come down and be a coach, as in Phil Jackson, to coach this team. So he's like, look, Steve Kerr going to Golden State, which was a wise move. He's like, look, I'm gonna take this team that's already got a foundation. I'm gonna institute some things here and there and take it to the next level. The man went to 5 straight finals, and you know the history. And Derek Fisher was a guy who was like, look, I know the triangle. I'm gonna try to teach these guys, and that was it. I'd rather go, mess with Matt Barnes' ex-wife and do stuff like that and get beat up by Matt Barnes. That was Derek Fisher's mindset. So those are two circumstances where it just happened to be coincidence. It wasn't this fact that they had a due diligence and they were given like proper chances. This was just because one needed star power to help sell the brand and bring people back into like the realm of Brooklyn, because Brooklyn was still establishing themselves in the borough, and not even in the borough as well as the city. And New York Knicks needed something desperately to try to change away from what they was doing. And Phil Jackson thought a guy who knows my system will help institute my system, and we should get some dividends, which it didn't work. So those are two random circumstances. Now, if it was like in a regular circumstance like Steve Nash, I highly doubt that Derek Fisher or Jason Kidd would have got a job. Jason Kidd maybe so, but there's a lot of guys. Ty Lue didn't get it looked at. You know what I mean? You got Sam Cassell. Look at Jawan Howard, who has been assistant coaching for years in the NBA. Never got an opportunity to get a coaching job. Patrick Ewing never got an opportunity. He wanted to coach and never got an opportunity until he had to go to the college ranks. So to Stephen A's point, yes, this is white privilege. And I wanted to get your take on it. So, Menelik, I know you had your thing unmuted before, so you can go ahead. You're muted, Menelik, if you was talking.
Yeah, so I do understand the general kind of point and what you're saying, that in a sense we sometimes see
Yeah.
where you know uh you know historically, when it comes to like GM, owners, coaches, things of that nature, blacks or African Americans have been underrepresented in most sports, right? And especially in the NBA, where the player base is like 80% black, you would feel like, oh, okay, there would be even more coaches of color. At the same time,
Yeah.
right, I also understand the point that I do think that in this specific case, it also has to factor in with the relationships. So, I mean, I think they were saying this, but even if they didn't, I feel like KD and Kyrie would have had to sign off on the decision or had some input,
Yeah,
or
100%.
um, you know, wanted to have him on board. So I do think that that stuff does factor in, but it's also true that, that was the most coveted job out there. And there was a lot of qualified candidates that didn't even get to throw their hat in the ring, so to speak. So I get that. But I do feel
Mhm.
like it also is the relationship element, where Sean Marks has a relationship with Nash, in addition to KD having a good relationship with him. Um, and but at the same time, they could have looked into some other candidates like Ty Lue, like, who has a championship and who has, shown what he's shown, or some of the other coaches out there.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I do feel like it feels that way too, because he's getting the best job out there. Because yeah, there's other jobs like in Chicago, and then some of the other markets and teams, probably. So yeah, so I do get it in that sense, in that sense there needs to be more fairness and opportunities for African American coaches. that
Yeah.
stands. Yeah,
Hmm.
that stands. I don't. But like I said, at the end of the day, I do think in this specific case, it was about the relationships, but that's just a reality overall in the league. And
Yeah.
if other people who maybe had to sign off, it probably was a little more okay with it
No,
for
I get
those
it.
other
I get
reasons.
it. I wanted to say something real quick into the comment on one of your comments, and then I'll let Hollister get in there. Is that I
Mhm.
agree with you 100%. I do believe it 100% is a relationship thing. Sean Marks has a good relationship with Steve Nash. Steve Nash has a good relationship with Kevin Durant. Obviously, they ran it by Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving to make sure that they'll be comfortable, because it doesn't make sense. Your two-star players will hate the coach and not want to work with his coach. But to fire a coach like Kenny Atkinson, right, and then bring in a guy who never coached before, it's kind of weird. It's one thing when you have like one-on-ones with people and you kind of doing it. Not get me wrong. I mean, that's all part of coaching. And also it's getting to the point where the coach is becoming obsolete in a sense. And that's what I was saying earlier, where it's like, it's about just being friends with people, like, oh, because he makes me feel cool. And like the same thing happened in football with the Cleveland Browns, when you had that guy, he was the coach because he was cool with whatever that kid's name is. I forgot his name on the Browns, who's the quarterback. You know what I mean? So they like, oh, we're gonna make him, the head coach because he's cool with him. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is that it's a little bit different for basketball too, but not trying to say that in that sense. But it's like, coaching used to be a guy who used to be a leader of men, obviously, and also will kind of rally the troops, keep everybody on point, and keep everybody focused. Sometimes they be your friends. Sometimes they'll got to give you that tough love, and sometimes it's legit. You know what I mean? A guy who's really trying to, like, push you guys to the next level by any means necessary within the realms of being like decent. Get what I'm saying? Now it's like it's getting to the point where if you're not cool with the person, you know what I mean, I don't want to be your friend. You know what I mean? So they're pretty much trying to say the Nets can coach themselves and they'll win enough games. So this is like a good fluff job. So that's where the privilege comes in, because if there was a sense of a person of color, and I know we speaking kind of hypothetically here, it was a person of color to get a job based on the fact that they had a good relationship with somebody, they're going to say something. So I'll give you an example. If Michael Jordan were to say, you know what, I want Patrick Ewing to be the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets, people would have been criticizing, like, oh, how you going to pick Patrick Ewing, blah, blah, blah. I guess because he's black, right? Right? You know what I'm saying? So, and it's always like that. When somebody of color gets like to hook their people up, oh, it's because that person this way, or that because this person is Spanish, blah, blah, blah. But when it's them, it's okay. Now, granted, like I said, I'm not taking nothing away from. I'm sorry, Hollis. I know you're gonna get in here, and Malik, I'll let you respond. I'm not saying that the relationship is not a huge point, but this is way out of left field. I don't even think like people like Woj and them knew prior that he was even considering coaching. This is like the cat Shawn Marks went in his Rolodex one day. He's like, yo, what, Steve Nash? Let me see. Yo, Steve. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, man? Yo, how's everything over there? Yeah, everything's good. You want to coach? Coach? I mean, I never thought about it. Like, man, maybe. I mean, yo, man, it's all good, baby. We got KD and Kyrie, man. We ain't gonna lose nothing. You gonna be making the playoffs. You gonna be good, man. Look at Steve Kerr. You know what I'm saying? He went there and they won a chip, so we could do the same. You was cool. You know some stuff over there. But maybe let me see what Kevin. I don't care. He cool with me. He one of my homies. How about you, Kyrie? Well, he's fine. You know what I mean? And he probably does believe the earth is flat like me. So yeah, he could be the coach. And all of a sudden, bam, he the new coach now. And then you keep Jack Vaughn on there. He probably on a thin leash anyway. So it's like that's what I mean by the funny bit. So I understand what you're saying, and trust me, the same thing that we all were saying. Like, I think he's gonna do well. I think he's gonna help, and you give the man a shot. So I'm always like that. So I'm not hating on him, the fact that he got
Yeah.
the job. I'm just hating on the process, and I do understand what Stephen A. Smith was saying when he said what he said. Hollister, Mel, you could respond, and then Hollister, you can get in there.
No, yeah. So I do get your point as well, and I do think that the way the process is, the way it works, and what we have historically seen, that you know there has been sometimes where certain coaches or new coaches who might not be of color get put in those would get a good job like that, where you have KD and Kyrie there, or as opposed to getting a rebuilding team or a team that is not doing that well. It happens to coach non-white coaches as well sometimes, but yeah, I do feel like you would think more opportunities would be given and should be given, and sometimes it's not always the case. So I do understand your
Yeah.
point there. And yeah, and like I said, I understand that you're not making it about Steve Kerr. You're not, I mean, not Steve Kerr, Steve Nash, and you're not making it about the relationship aspect because there's the reasons for that. But it's just unfortunate that at the same time, when you do have a lot of these other, candidates with experience, with resumes out there who haven't even got the chance to try and get that job, it makes it, it's just unfortunate. But like you said, it is about sometimes, hooking up your friends and the relationships and the dynamics. And, it is what it is. Hopefully some of those guys out there do get a job or get a look at or get the opportunities. I know they were saying Chauncey Billups now is considering trying to really take coaching seriously and putting his hat out there. We'll see if people give him a chance like that, where he's now coming in without having that. But I mean, so yeah, we'll see.
Hollister?
I agree with everything you guys said on the whole aspect of this conversation. Just to add a little, a little something to it. I really think with the whole relationship with the players, I think they also want to, keep the players happy. Like, all right, some of these players, if they don't have the right coach, they're not going to come out and perform well, or they just going to sit on the bench and, not follow the schemes and all of that kind of thing. And then also that puts pressure on the front office, to do this and that. But like some of these players nowadays, they too sensitive. They don't like these, the coaches to, be hard on them or do this, do that. They want somebody that's friendly. Like I was saying, somebody that's friendly. Like, all right, go ahead, do this, do this, talk to them soft and things like that. But it's like, I don't know, it's just a little weird. The other guys that they mentioned, the possible Ty Lue's and the Sam Cassell's, I guess they probably didn't want to wait till the Clippers finished their playoff run to do the interviews and hopefully get permission. But there's a lot of other people that was out there: Alvin Gentry, Nate McMillan, Mark Jackson. We all know his situation; he's blackballed. But there's a lot of other people they could have looked at, but I guess KD and Kyrie probably not. They already had their list of people that they potentially wanted, and they got what they wanted in the sense that'll work out for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I think in regards to like Alvin Gentry, when you just get fresh out fired, you know what I'm saying? Usually you got a year turnaround. You got to give him a chance a break. He might be on somebody's assistant squad. As far as you said Ty Lue, I think Ty Lue most likely is probably going to go to the Hornets. No, not the Hornets, the Pelicans, because they said that even when they was in the bubble, David Griffin was talking to him about coaching and stuff like that. So I think they're going to wait until after this series is done, and if the Clippers win the chip and etc., then he'll probably be going as well. So we'll see. But Tyron, you have anything to talk about that?
Yeah, with Stephen A. talking about white privilege, I thought when he first said it that I didn't agree with it when he said it. As days go on, and you think about it more when he said what he said, I think that he was just more upset that Mark Jackson didn't get hired. If you ask me, my honest opinion, had Mark Jackson been hired, I don't think he would have even cared if 6 white coaches would have been hired in any other place. I think he's very fond of Mark Jackson. He wants Mark Jackson to get a coaching job. And in my opinion, he does deserve one. But I think he was just more upset that because, with the New York ties and Thibodeau being the coach of the Knicks, everybody probably assumed that Mark Jackson would be the guy that get the Brooklyn job. So I think that when he heard the Steve Nash thing, I think he was just kind of upset because, in my personal opinion, I don't think there's any white privilege. I think that, to what you alluded to earlier, Jason Kidd was days after he announced his retirement. He's the Brooklyn Nets head coach. They just moved to Brooklyn. It was the first season in Brooklyn, and they wanted to make a splash, like you did say. But again, that's a black coach with no experience. He wasn't a front office, he didn't work in the front office or anything. He was a player, as is Nash. Derek Fisher, the same thing. Now, you alluded to Steve Kerr being the initial, first choice for Phil Jackson. I also heard a rumor that, this is just a rumor, that Phil Jackson was pretty much helping Steve Kerr hike up his price to go to Golden State. So I don't think I don't think he really was going to get Kerr. I think him and Kerr spoke on it, and Kerr probably said, "Listen, I got a better chance out here in Golden State." And he probably said, "Listen, all right, I'll give you a number here," and you probably go back with them and say, "Yo, this is what they're offering me," and this, that, and the third. Excuse me. So I don't think that
But even
with
Steve Kerr, he never coached, and he got the Golden State job.
Derek Fisher also.
I know, but what I was trying to say with the Derek Fisher situation, the only reason why, and it's the same concept. What I'm saying is that these are circumstances thing. It's like, for instance, like how I'll give you an example. When we used to work on the, I'll let you finish. But when we used to work in the park, right? They would say, "Oh, let me call Michael, let me call Tyrone," because they know how to do the work. They might not necessarily want us to be there, give us the bread, but they say, "You know what? It's easier to get them back." So if the park were to reopen right now, and Margaret was still there, and like, "Hey, I need somebody," to think she might hit us up because why? Michael and Tyrone, they knew the stuff like that. So what I'm saying with the Steve Kerr, not the Steve Kerr, with the Derek Fisher thing is that the only reason why Derek Fisher got a coaching job was because of the fact he knew the triangle. If it wasn't because if he didn't know the triangle and it was anything else, he would never have gotten any coaching job, which is why he's not coaching right now. He's only coaching in WNBA. Not to disrespect them, but I'm trying to say he wouldn't have got the job.
Steve Kerr also knew the triangle.
I know. That's why they said Steve Kerr was the first choice, but
All
Steve
right,
Kerr
so
wanted to go to the other place.
All right, so what about Jason Kidd now?
The Jason Kidd, like I said, you just said it too. The same thing. It's like you have to look at it from this perspective. Jason Kidd is a net. His accolades came from being a New Jersey net guy who brought the Nets to the finals twice. Right now, he's not there. The Nets just coming to Brooklyn. The fan base is still kind of torn. They're like, we like the Knicks. We don't really care about the Nets like that. Right? We're not going to fill the seats. You remember those first net games? Nobody was coming to them games like that.
But
what happened was,
that was a big shock also.
I know that. I'm not saying it's not a big shock. What I'm trying to say is that the difference is like we can't. The reason why this is a little bit different, in a sense, like I'm saying, I'm not taking that away from Steve Nash, and where I'm saying I understand what Stephen A. Smith was saying is that with the Nets situation, it was a circumstantial thing. We need revenue. We need somebody to come into this building and this arena to be excited about something. The team is not excited. We got Brooke Lopez. We have Deron Williams. We ain't really got much, right? The team is coming over here. Nobody care about the Nets. Wow, let's get our all-time net kind of, Jason Kidd, who is a fan favorite in a sense. Let's bring him as a head coach. We will get some fans, and that's what they did. And that's how they got the fan base up. The same thing when he went to Milwaukee. They did that same thing with Milwaukee. Milwaukee wasn't popping like that. Giannis wasn't that ill yet. There wasn't a lot of guys there yet. So when they brought Jason Kidd over there, and his boys had owned the ownership of the Bucks, it's like, you know what? We'll use Jason Kidd's name as well to help boost some of the revenue. And then once we get to a certain level, then all right, he wasn't doing what we need to do. Bye-bye. That's why right now the Bucks are ill because why? Giannis now is a star. He's an MVP, hopefully a 2-time MVP about to get swept. And then he do that, right? So that's what I'm saying. So with the Nash joint is the fact that you have people like Steve Nash who gets this job. Like I said, I'm not trying to take nothing away from him. I think he's going to do a great job. But it is part of that whole system where it's like, all right, I'm going to hire him. He ain't got no experience, but I'm cool with him. And he looked like me, he gonna get the job, right? Whereas have people like Juwan Howard, like I said, didn't get no job. You have people.
Juwan Howard is the head coach at Michigan University.
I know, but how long it took him to get a head coach job? And he's not a head coach in the NBA. He had to go to college.
Listen, just because a player
never got the
just because a guy has been an assistant coach for a long time does not mean that they have to get a head coaching job. There's some guys that
they're not even getting
Mike Budenholzer was an assistant coach for 20 years. You didn't hear nobody crying his name out.
But he still was a coach, right? He was still an assistant coach.
And so was Patrick Ewing.
I know, but Patrick Ewing still didn't get an opportunity in the NBA. He never even got an interview really in the NBA.
He got his Georgetown job.
I know.
He actually interviewed for the Detroit Pistons. But.
All right, but I'm trying to say that he did get an interview, like probably for them, right? What I'm trying to say is that here's Pat roll off the couch, and they get an opportunity. So you have to look at it like that, and I'm taking that stance because I even looking at my job, right? Here it is. I've been here for years doing my thing, right? I'm supposed to have got like a raise and a reclass per se, right? And I want to get too personal with this thing. But at the end of the day, my bosses, they ain't giving me nothing. But yet, still, they making sure they people getting hired, getting jobs. When I told them about people that I knew who tried to get them a job, when I even try to get you the job at FIT for the ABM, he got to go through all this.
Working places like that, I understand it.
It's the same concept.
I understand that, but I think y'all wrong on this. There's other players that were African Americans that got jobs that had no coaching experience. Like, if you don't want to bring up coaching experience, is it solely coaching experience or front office experience? Because Steve Kerr was a general manager for years in Phoenix.
All right,
So I
that's
don't
cool.
know. I don't know if your argument. I don't know if
So
your
let me ask you a
argument
question.
is.
So
No,
if,
wait, no,
go
listen.
ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know if your argument is based on just coaching experience or just getting out of the bed and being hired. Like, which one is it? Because you brought up Steve Kerr, but Steve Kerr had front office
Yeah, but
experience.
see, having a front office experience is
No,
cool.
no. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm asking you, what is
I know what
the
your question is.
argument?
I
Because you
understand
brought
the
up
argument.
Kerr.
No, I'm explaining it because what I'm trying to say, yes, because he had front office experience and he also got fired as a front. Yeah, let me finish. You asked me a question. I'm answering the question.
You gotta listen. This is my turn to go. I'm asking you the question. Which one is it? Is it Kerr? Is it the way Nash came in, like flat out of the bed, or does it like with no coaching experience, or is it with you? It doesn't matter if they had no coaching experience, but they were general managers or presidents. Is that still an issue, or is it just them not coaching?
So to answer your question with this question, the whole topic we're talking about right now is the fact that is it white privilege or not. So it doesn't have to necessarily be drilled down to that one or two things.
Like,
that's what I'm trying to tell you, but you keep telling the same question. I'm trying to. So you gonna let me speak, or you gonna keep saying that?
But you got to tell me. You're talking about white privilege, but who else is it?
I'm telling you the reason why.
How many other white people got this same opportunity Nash did compared to black people? Because I named a couple black people. So tell me now.
You need a couple of black people.
Because you only mentioned Steve Kerr.
You're talking about a couple of white people, black people, right? I gave you the example. I told you exactly why they was hired. You already know that. So it's like you.
And I got to bring up something else also, not to cut you off for a second, about the Atkinson thing, but go ahead.
Yeah, you already know there's two people, right, that got hired off of this business as far as getting money, right? We already established that. Jason Kidd. The reason why he was hired, yes, right, is because of the fact that he was a net and the Nets needed money and they needed to put somebody.
Doesn't matter. He had no coaching experience. It doesn't matter what it was.
He didn't
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are friends with Steve Nash and they got the job. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Which is why I'm talking about the white privilege. Because if you look at the fact he has
so what's Jason Kidd's? That's what I tried to ask you before. You're saying white privilege, but what's Jason Kidd's? What is it for Jason Kidd then? Since his friends helped him.
Yeah, he's getting hooked up by his boys, like we just talked about. It's the same concept. Getting hooked up by
his
boys.
Why are you saying white privilege?
Because in this case,
if Jason Kidd had it done 6 years before, and he's black, that's what I'm getting at.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. But what I'm trying to say is because the fact of the matter is,
it's the same organization that did it.
Is it the same people who did it?
It's the same organization.
It's the same people in the organization that did it. No, the owner is different.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter because those are different people.
No, it doesn't matter. There's two African Americans that are superstars on that team that vouched for him.
Yeah,
and it was white, and there were white people when Jason Kidd was there that vouched for Jason Kidd.
No, you see, you're looking at it from a more of like a direct, like you think it's like a hatred type of racial thing. That's not what we're talking about here, right? Privilege, right?
No, that's how it's coming off towards you because you keep saying white privilege.
That's not when it's coming off because you're hearing the word white privilege. So
the same franchise hired a black man with no coaching experience before this.
Exactly, but
it doesn't matter if it's the same. It doesn't matter if it's the same regime.
It does because like that when we said the other time, you know why? Because when we was talking about the Boston Red Sox, right, the other day. Whatever podcasts ago, right? And we was getting on the Boston Red Sox saying that they were doing this thing. You was like, oh, the organization is not racist. They do these different things, right? But they have people in the
organization. The city of Boston is racist. That's the truth.
Right? Exactly. So you said it had city of Boston's racist. We know that. They had some racist people on the team who probably gone whatever. And you said the organization is not racist. So what I'm trying to get you to understand, the organization had different people who were running it. They had a different president of basketball. They had a different owner, right? So yes, the owner, who was the general manager, that black guy was the general manager when the Nets first got there. He probably said, "Oh, he's black."
I actually think Prokhorov still. I don't think that did that deal go through yet. I don't think Prokhorov has sold it completely.
No, I think he sold it to that
the Chinese guy. Yeah, I don't think it fully happened yet though.
No, I think it did because that's what they were trying to say. He's the new ownership and blah blah blah. And that's why that was another reason why KD and them came over there. So what I'm trying to say is that the other guy who was owning it first, right, Prokhorov, whatever, he's just doing his thing with the ownership. But then you had the president of the basketball, I forgot his name, the black guy who got fired, right? He was there. So he hooked up his boy by saying, all right, Jason Kidd's black. He used to be in the organization. I'll hook him up, right? he got the job. He was black, so he hired somebody black, right? Steve Marks is white. He tried to decide to hire somebody white. He said, "Look, I don't want to interview nobody else. I'm gonna hire Steve Nash, who never even mentioned about being a coach." So that's what I'm trying to say. So it's not necessarily white privilege. The thing is just being a privileged circumstance. Doesn't necessarily mean that the persons who are doing it are
But you
being.
just said it's white privilege.
Let me finish what I'm
You
saying.
telling me now that it's not white privilege, but you've been saying
I never
for 10
said it's
minutes,
not white.
privilege.
I never said it's not white privilege. I'm trying to explain to it. You're not listening to what I'm saying.
It's
What
not
I'm
white
saying is that
privilege.
what I'm saying is this, right? He's getting hired by his boy, right? Right? He's hiring his friend. The reason why they consider it white privilege is because of the fact that
Stephen A.
not Stephen A. Because of people of color not always get those opportunities. If you look at the state, if you look at the people who got those opportunities, right, to get jobs and different things like that, right, and other coaches who are black who never get those opportunities. Look, Zion just got into the league, right? David Griffin came in there. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna fire him because he never got a chance to even coach it. Y'all was even saying too. You was even talking about it the other day, right? How some of these coaches would they be getting the short end of the stick, and then sometimes these players fall. So what I'm trying to say is that yes, in this sense, it's not necessarily a bad look, but the concept of white privilege is still prevalent because you have other coaches of color who also have not coached before, right? And they have to do, they don't get an opportunity. Or besides the two instances that we talked about, and I gave you the examples and the reasons behind it, and then, or, right, they have to have super accolades, right, to match up to even get an opportunity to even coach. You have veteran coaches, right, who can't even get the opportunity to say, let me even get an interview because the next say, oh, we're going to pick Steve Nash. So that is a remnant of white privilege. So just because of the NBA circumstance, and you said you understand what I'm talking about when it comes to regular work, it's the same concept when it comes to that there too.
No, it's worse than regular work. It's worse.
Oh yeah, I mean,
we're not in front of it. We're not in front of cameras. It's worse.
Yes. So
I wouldn't even really compare it, to be honest. But
well, it's kind of
I understood why you brought it up, but I wouldn't even compare it.
The concept is just similar. So what I'm trying to say, I'm not hating on the fact that Steve Nash getting it, and I'm sad that it made up. I'm saying I understand why Stephen A. Smith said what he said, because if you look at it from the outside looking in, it makes sense because you look at the fact that he never had no coaching experience, and I said you could make the Richard, you could use the Richard Jefferson thing as you want, but we already know why they did it.
I'm all right. So what did Doc Rivers do before he became a coach at Orlando in 1999?
I don't know. I don't know Doc Rivers.
Nothing. He was an interview. He did commentary. Mark Jackson had no coaching experience before he got the Golden State job.
He never coached outside.
He never coached. He was he did the stuff with Van Gundy like how he's doing now. None of these guys.
He never did any assistant coaching. He never coached nothing locally. Never coached like high school. Never coached like college.
No. Now you're gonna bring up other stuff like that. School, college. No, Mark Jackson had no coaching experience. Doc Rivers had no coaching experience. Like these guys, there's some more that I can't get off the top of my head right now, but there are some more that are African American that have gotten that chance. I thought that his argument would have been better if he would have just complained about Mark Jackson not getting a job, because deep down, everybody that's upset about this, they're just upset that Mark Jackson didn't get the job. Like, I'm gonna just keep it real with y'all. I think, and nobody would have said anything if Steve Nash would have got hired by Phoenix or Chicago, anywhere, if Mark Jackson would have got this job in Brooklyn. I think that it's because he didn't get hired. I think that's what everybody's choice was. They wanted him for the Knicks job also. He didn't get that. But there's a lot of people that are African American that got that head coach. Like you brought up Ewing, you brought up I forgot who else you brought up. You brought up Juwan Howard. You brought up guys like that. But Sam Cassell, stuff like that. But there are the Mark Jacksons. Doc Rivers been in the league so long that you guys probably don't even remember that Doc Rivers was just a guy doing commentary on TNT and ESPN before, and then Orlando just straight out hired him with no experience.
I have a quick question.
I
have one quick statement I want to say real quick. So look at what's his face, Kenny Smith, right? Kenny Smith made it known he want to be a coach, right? Why nobody?
No, he wants to work in the front office.
No, I know he said that too, but he also said he wanted to be a coach at one point, right? Nobody that threw him a bone like, yo, Kenny, you want to do this. Now, like I said, I'm not hating on Steve Nash.
For relationships.
I'm not hating on Steve Nash. What I'm trying to say, that is the point. What I'm trying to say, I'm not hating on Steve Nash. I was just more surprised, like Nash, like all this kind of build to be to pick Steve Nash. And I even said it. If you looked at my Instagram, you don't have social media, it was Hollister and them have it. I even said, you know what? I think he'll do well. I just think this is a big shock. Like, I don't know. We'll see what's going to go on. right? After listening to what Hollister had mentioned with the Stephen A. Smith, and I listen to his point, it makes sense because you look at what's going on. Yes, that happened with Doc Rivers a few years back. All the different things is going on. But to Malik said what he said earlier, the league is a majority African American. I'm not trying to say you can't have other people coaching them and doing different things like that, but let's be real here, right? A lot of these cats don't get the opportunities. A lot of these cats, when they become general managers, don't have full say. They have to still answer, except for Masai Ujiri. A lot of these cats don't have that. So yes, they might look at Scott Perry and them. They were on the Knicks front office, but they had to make everything go through Nolan. They couldn't pick the people they wanted to pick and do certain things. So what I'm trying to say is that just because they might get a quote unquote title, the bar is set higher. So that's what Stephen Hay was trying to say. Like the bar is still set higher for people of color, as opposed to cats just coming in off that. Like I said, Steve Nash is an NBA player, and I give them kind of cats a little bit of a pass, somewhat too, because they were playing, right? But he was far removed from what he did. He was doing like developmental coaching, right, and stuff like that. So all right, you want to give it to him, you want to give it to him. But let's look at it for what it is. And I do understand what Stephen A. Smith is saying. And you can see it across the board from coaching, general managers, people in the front office in general. There's a lot of other people that are qualified and not getting these same opportunities. You could use, if you don't want to use white privilege. Let's say
no, but listen,
nepotism.
There's only 30 teams in the NBA. Not everybody's going to get a job. You can't expect. I understand what you're saying, but there's also a lot of Hispanics and whites and others that aren't getting those same opportunities too. It's not just them. There are
people Hispanics and other cats that they consider people of color.
There are both Hispanics too that are not getting those opportunities. There's whites that's not getting those opportunities, and then people going over them too and getting the job. Listen, we all think it's a shock that Nash got the job, but I don't think it's white privilege. I don't think it at all. It doesn't seem that way. He had a relationship. Like I can understand if now what would have made me believe it is if KD and Kyrie and none of these people had anything to do with it, and they just say, oh yeah, by the way, Steve Nash is coaching a team now. This is who I want. I don't really care what you guys say. Now that I would understand. But if you have them as the main people helping bring him there, I can't say that.
I have a question for you.
That's what they wanted.
Let me ask a question. So you think right?
I think KD and Kyrie are they were the final say, if you ask me.
I have a question for you, and you guys can chime in too. So you mean to tell me that KD and Kyrie was sitting at home or sitting in their houses on the phone? It's like, you know who'd be a great coach, bro? Yeah, who, man? Steve Nash. You think they said that, or you think the organization? I mean, no, hear me out. You think the organization was like, all right, we're gonna hire Steve Nash. Let me just run it by the guys. Not trying to say that they don't like him.
Now, they run it by the guys. I got an answer for that. Right? When exactly did Kenny Atkinson get fired? Before the pandemic, right?
Yes.
So I think that's possible that they did sit home and figure it out. I actually believe that because it's been months since. I think people forgot. Atkinson been fired. I think in February or I don't remember, January.
No, earlier than that. I get that part. That's not the essence of the question. The essence of the question is this, right? You said that Steve Nash.
I answered your question. I said yes. I do think they sat home and said let's bring in Steve. Yes, I believe it. Why can't that be true?
No, I'm not trying to say that they didn't say to bring that, but I'm trying to say that was their first. You think that was their first choice? That they sat around.
We don't know that.
I know that, but that's what I'm trying to ask you. Yeah,
but we don't. I'm answering.
But they said they
wanted. We don't know that.
Then Kevin Durant was saying, "Oh, we want Popovich to come through," and they were trying to get him.
Did you hear Kevin Durant himself say that?
Yes, he had interviews saying that. Interviews saying that we want Pop over here, and I would love to be coached by Popovich and all that.
So would you have called it privilege if Pop would have got it?
No, because Popovich is an established coach. He brought his team to the championship, got 5 chips.
But Alvin Gentry is an established coach. Mark Jackson's coaching experience. I get Alvin Gentry was part of the staff. Popovich is probably top 2 coach of all time. I get it, but if they would have just outright hired him, would it have been that big of a deal?
Outright hired who?
Popovich.
Well, we just said no because Popovich has coaching experience, so it's that's obvious. It wouldn't be in a big deal, and it wouldn't be in that circumstance. The reason why people was using that stance of circumstance was saying white privilege, like Stephen A. Smith was saying. Let me finish. Or you don't want to use white privilege. You want to use nepotism or whatever boyism.
You want to use some other word other than white privilege. If you want
to use that, is just hooking up your boys and all that. It's because of the
fact exactly
that
what it had. That's what exactly what it is at the end of this day.
Experience. That's why they were saying that. So the point is that they like looking at away. This guy never coached a day in his life, and he leapfrogging all these veteran coaches, all these established coaches that are good coaches. He's jumping those guys. That was the problem, and the fact that he's white. Yes,
But they've done that with other. I've named other people. Those guys would leapfrog too, and they hired Doc Rivers and Derek Fisher and Mark Jackson. Other people would leapfrog.
Doc Rivers got hired in Orlando. Who was the other
Look,
candidate?
Chauncey Billups may get a job. Are we gonna say this then?
We'll see if Chauncey Billups get a job. We'll see.
Okay, so
We'll see.
you
See what
can't say this,
Kinda
and then if Chauncey Billups, who just does interviews on he does the jump. I don't know, is this jump or whatever. He does NBA Countdown. You know, he's a great point guard and no coaching experience. If he gets a job, because I'm hearing Chicago. By the way, Melik, Chicago is the hottest job, not Brooklyn.
No, Brooklyn is.
No, it's not. No, I was supposed to say that at the top of before I spoke. But Chicago's the hottest job out there. If Chauncey was to get that job, this whole argument is pointless because it'll be the same thing but the color. I think everybody is upset that Mark Jackson wasn't the head coach, if you ask me. And so Aluta, you said that Brooklyn did something. You said that Brooklyn did something like that before, like I think you said with Atkinson. After Atkinson, was it like Vaughn?
No, I'm trying to say what are you talking about?
You were saying something about Vaughn.
No, I said they gave Jack Vaughn, at least they had to give Jack Vaughn the opportunity to interview, even though they knew he wasn't going to get the job.
I'm talking about after they fired Atkinson. You said something about no coaching experience and something with him not coaching, and if they did that before, why they doing it again? I don't know. I don't
say like that, but I said
because Jack Vaughn was the coach of Orlando for 3 years, so he had coaching experience.
No, I'm not hating on Jack Vaughn.
No. It was something you said earlier. I can't remember. I was trying to correct it. It was something you were saying when you were talking. I just can't remember it. But it was so long ago because we got so deep into this. I don't even think you even remember it. But it's somewhere. If you listen to this again, you'll see it somewhere.
Only couple of things I was saying about Jack Vaughn was the fact that he had the opportunity to have an interview because of the fact that they had to give it to him because he was coaching them. So they had to be the courteous. It's the courteous thing to do. Like, even though I'm going to replace you, all right, Tyron, you're the acting head coach for now. Let me give you the opportunity to, the interview, even though I might have like Hollister in mind to be a coach.
The NFL has this thing called a Rooney Rule, where you have to at least interview one minority. Yeah. Now, one thing I agree with Stephen A. He said they need to have that in the NBA, where you hire at least. But let's keep it real.
Why did he say that though?
Let's be real. No, because he thinks that what he said earlier. But let's be real, right? If they want somebody, it doesn't matter who they interview. Like, you could interview 2-3 black people. If they have their mindset on one guy, it's I mean, they could do it because they have to do it. But
real quick,
it's honestly a waste of time.
Malik and Hollister, if y'all want, y'all could jump in as well, in and out, because me and Tom, we go jump in there. But to your point, Tom, the reason why Stephen A. Smith said it should have a rule, the reason why they created like affirmative action, the reason why they created like the Rooney Rule, and Malik, you work in this field, so you can better explain it than us. It's because of the fact they know that is a shortcoming of how, like you said, Tyrone, they're not gonna give people the opportunity. I can interview Tyrone, I can interview Hollister, I can interview Malik and Mike, but I know I'm not giving the job to them, right? But they have to place the rule there because they need it to make sure that they don't look like they're doing their white privilege. That's the only reason why they're doing it. So
guess what?
To your point, it might not work, but why they have to institute a rule is because
it's a joke.
I know. The reason why they have to introduce the rule is because of the fact that the white privilege was so rampant.
It's a joke.
It wasn't giving nobody no chance.
The Rooney Rule is a joke. It's a joke. I wouldn't even do it. It's a joke. You're interviewing them knowing you ain't gonna hire them. It's a joke.
So yeah, Malik and Hollister, y'all can jump in and say what y'all got to say.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I'll say, like, I understand both of your points. Like I said before, like in this specific example with the Steve Nash, I do think that, yeah, we established that has something to do with the relationships between Sean Marks and Steve Nash and the star players, et cetera, et cetera. I think what Michael and Stephen A. kind of were getting at is just overall in, you know, professional sports in general, but even in the NBA, you know, there's not as many or not enough Black or African American coaches compared to how the league is run and all the number of players in the league that are Black and players now who have retired and or who working as assistants or as coaches, et cetera, et cetera. You would think there would be more opportunities. I think, you know, it's like what, maybe 5, 6 coaches. I know it's only 30 teams, but I think there's only like maybe 5 or 6 coaches that are like African American. At the same time, I also, yeah, but as far as like some of the, you know, interviewing and putting some of those things out there, to what Michael was saying, a lot of those things, as much as sometimes it can be um, not super effective in a certain way, but the idea behind it is to at least make a good faith effort to have minorities or other individuals get an opportunity. So instead of at least no one even getting interviewed, even though sometimes, yes, if someone is dead set on hiring a certain person, they might get hired. If they're qualified, you know, they'll get hired. And with something like a sports team where it's a little different from like, you know, traditional employment, because, you know, there's someone who owns something and he's like, okay, I want to do what I want to do. I own this thing. I'm going to do it. Whereas sometimes, in, you know, in other jobs or fields, there's more, um, you know, processes and policies and procedures in effect. So it might have a little more impact in those spaces. Whereas, like you said, the NFL does have the Rooney Rule, and it hasn't really led to too much because, you know, so just to get back to the essence of the whole white privilege thing, like I said, in this case, I think it was, you know, legitimate basketball reasons, but in professional sports in general, as we know, most sports teams are owned by, you know, white men, right? And
Yes.
in a case where you're going to hook up, quote unquote, your friends or your boys or people, you know, it's appearance to a lot of people that a lot of, you know, white coaches, et cetera, are getting these opportunities because if you have owners and stuff who are white and then they hooking up their friends, they might more so give their friend an opportunity who might happen to look like them. And I'm not saying they all do it. I'm not saying there's not teams with white owners that have hired Black coaches, et cetera. But with the kind of idea out there, or the feeling out there, the sentiment out there, given the results of the fact that we don't have a lot of, you know, Black African American, you know, coaches and owners and things like that, especially in sports where there predominantly are Black people, it leads that feeling, that sentiment, and it's something that you have to look into or try to figure out what's going on. So yeah, I don't know if a rule would help fully, because if it's not backed by other things, because at the end of the day, I understand that you might really have someone who might be not have experience, but someone really believes in, and when you have that kind of choice like owners do, they're gonna sometimes go with that guy. I think maybe it might help though initially to at least maybe get more people in the mix or opportunities, but once again, it's something that is complicated. But like I said, I understand both of your points. Like I said, in this case, I don't necessarily think it was. I think it was basketball reasons and relationship reasons why Steve Nash got the job.
Yeah.
But I think overall in the league and in professional sports, there is some element or a perception of white privilege in the way these opportunities are given to people. So yeah,
That's like that all over the country and all over the place.
yeah,
I was just arguing the Brooklyn Nets situation. We all
man.
know it's white privilege every goddamn place in the world, in America, especially at the workplace. That's why when Michael brought up the workplace, I was like, well, it's no comparison there. I wouldn't even bring
Yeah,
that up because it's way worse there. And me
Yeah.
and him, we both experienced that when we worked at the park.
Exactly.
And I know he does where he's at now. I do where I'm at right now. It's part of life. that we got to deal with. It's sad, but that's my argument was the Brooklyn Net thing, the Steve Nash thing.
All right, so
We
that's
all know, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's what I'm trying to say. I get what you're saying, and the reason why I was saying it, so like Malik said, I was probably talking about not probably the net thing, and also the whole circumstance. Even that's what I said, is his boy getting hooked up. Steve Marks has the position to hook
Sean Marks. You keep saying
thank
Steve.
you. God, keep y'all keep
Yeah,
You're talking
Steve
about
Nash.
Steve Nash,
thing,
your new head
yeah,
coach.
Sean Marks hired
Your new
Steve
head
Nash
coach.
because that's his homie, right? So and I gotta get my coach's name right. So
You better get it right.
He gonna hire his boy because he's in a position to do so. So what the whole issue is, if you look at the like, just think about it, right? The NBA, and I'm sorry, Hollis, I'll let you
No,
get it.
it's all right.
I want to say this one quick point. The NBA, right? In the NFL, I'm not even gonna get into the NFL because they have way different stuff going on.
Yeah.
Right? It's this, right? And we got when they start, we'll get back into it. But
Yeah, next week, Thursday. Is
NBA,
the
NBA, right? Has the majority of the excluding like Luca and stuff like that. The star power is the black people, right? Or the people of color. That's who brings like the league is brand and juice that right there, right? And then you look at the representation in the league, right? And I'm not saying that on a racial thing. I'm not trying to say these people are innately racist. I'm just saying that it's like what we said. Like I'm most likely hire somebody that look like me. Fans, if I have a business and I have people I want to hire, I'm gonna hire y'all first. I'm gonna be 100% honest. You know, I always thought about that. If I ever had bread, I had like a team, like my people in my staff, like Tyrone, be like a scouter because he always doing the statistics, Hollister, you, Menelik, all that stuff like that. I would do that because why? Y'all my family, so I'm gonna hire y'all first. You get what I'm saying? So I understand that concept, but at the same time, the players also got to be like, yo, we want y'all talking about what y'all wanted from the owners, right? Y'all get mad at the owners for not standing with y'all and saying certain things, right? And even though a lot of these owners in the NBA did step up, so I'm not saying that, but y'all ain't making no noise about why only Masai Ujiri is the only one who got like, you know, autonomy in this whole jump where he could do what he got to do, which is why the Toronto Raptors at least competing, right? You don't got nobody else speaking up for other people in the organization. So I understand that the relationship part, and that's what I guess what Stephen A was trying to say without saying was that, look, I understand KD and them had to sign off. He said that they had to sign off for them, but he's trying to say if y'all talking about y'all want to make change and do the different things like that, even though y'all cool with Steve Nash, y'all just sign off all willy-nilly. Y'all didn't even say, oh, let's do our due diligence and have that, because at the end of the day, most of these coaches hires are based off what the players feel, who they want to work with. So I get it, and I'm not hating on it. And I think Steve Nash will do a great job. So excluding that part of it, the players need to step up in a sense. And like Stephen A. Smith said, it's a boys' club. He said it was an owner who's a billionaire guy who really was dying to try to get into the NBA. And NBA guys were like, no, you can't get in here. I don't care how much money. He's a billionaire, probably like one of the third or fourth richest persons in the world. And he was like, nah, you can't come in here because you're not part of this clique. Now, Michael Jordan got in there because he the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? He Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? So he got in there. But you think, LeBron might have a shot too when he get his name up there if he had the bread. But it's very rare to break into that thing. And the reason why it's hard, because that is a white privilege thing where it's like, we run the show. We only gonna let people that we want in here. They have the privilege. If you want to come in here, you got to be a GOAT. You got to be Michael Jordan had to be the GOAT to be an owner. You get what I'm saying? All owners didn't have to be Michael Jordan had to be the GOAT to be an owner. You know what I'm saying? He had to revolutionize the NBA just to become an owner. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about.
But he's actually not the first African American coach though, owner. It actually was the man that he succeeded, Bob Johnson.
Bob Johnson.
Yeah, Bob Johnson.
So he's not even the first. He's just the first athlete to be an owner.
All right, so
but yeah.
But out of all the major league sports now, currently, who the other black owner? Majority
No,
owner.
we all know that. We all know that.
Yep.
You see, ownership is different. It's similar to like how we talk about the workplace. It's very similar to that.
I'm trying to get KG to get that, get that ownership.
But Garnett, he's coming along trying to come up with something.
Yeah, but he
made
the guy. They talking to some other group. They're not even talking to him no more. And that's what I'm trying to say. They looked at KG.
But all right, the KG thing is different because he hates Glenn Taylor. He hates.
I know
him.
He's
made it public.
Also trying to.
Yeah.
I know he definitely wanted to try to bring the team to Seattle, so they probably try to block that too.
Yo,
that's why they haven't retired his jersey in Minnesota, because he has his hatred for Glenn Taylor. So he refused to do business with Glenn Taylor.
I know.
Because of the Flip Saunders situation.
Yeah, and him and Flip was trying to buy the team before he came.
Right, back. That's what their whole problem was. They was trying to buy the team, and then he reneged on it, and that's why he always publicly goes at Glenn Taylor.
You gonna figure renege on that, and the man is dead, and then you try to represent him now. That's crap. But sorry, Hollis, you can jump in on that if you have any 2 cents on that. Then move to the playoff stuff, and then
Um,
to the thing.
not much. Y'all pretty much touched everything.
All right, let's get on the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
Let's get on the playoffs because I've been waiting to talk about this.
Yeah, so I missed a couple of games, so I'm gonna let y'all rock. I did see the highlights and stuff like that. So actually, Tyron, you start this part with because you'll segue. What you say will help bring me in there. And the other guys,
Miami, Milwaukee. Milwaukee. Nobody.
The Toronto joint.
What Toronto, Boston?
Yeah, the other day.
The Novi joint.
Oh, I was going to bring up the whole series in general, but we could bring up Toronto because me and Mike had an interesting text message back and forth about a certain Milwaukee star. So we could save that one. I'll start in the West first.
Okay.
Surprisingly, sarcastically, I'm saying that Clippers beat the crap out of Denver the other night. I knew when I saw that series happen after that amazing performance by Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell during the Utah series. Those was classics. I said, oh, Clippers in 5. But when I saw the interview where Jamal Murray was like, "Wait, we got to play Thursday." I'm calling it a sweep. I'm calling it a sweep now because I'm like the look on his face. I'm like, yeah, he looked defeated. So I took that game away. I'm like, nah, they're done. There's really nothing to talk about with that game because what you see there is what's going to happen in every game in that series. There's certain matchups where style, you know how they say styles make fights. I think Utah would have been an easier opponent for the Clippers, but Denver is just as easy for them. I don't think Denver can match up with the Clippers. I think Jokic will have a good series, but I think Murray will be shut down, and as he was in Game 1.
And they have full strength.
They have George, they have Beverly, they have Kawhi, they have Marcus Morris, who's playing out of his mind right now for the Clippers. I think they can throw those. But this is what I thought was going to happen to Luka, but Luka's so special, it didn't really matter who was guarding him. But this is kind of what I thought the Dallas series was going to be, and thought that the Clippers would dominate them, but it didn't happen that way. But I'm going with Denver in a sweep. I'm not giving predictions. I just wanted to say that about I just wanted to say that about the Jamal Murray thing because I had a game, I gave them a game until he said that. But the Laker Rocket now. Remember when we was talking about in the seeding matchups, we were saying Portland will be a tough matchup for the Lakers, and I think guys were banged up in the Portland series, so that could have went longer had McCollum and Dame been healthy. So I think that, and Zach Collins, I think that contributed to the Lakers just dismantling them in 5. But we also said that, and I also said the Rockets are another team they should avoid should they go into the second round, because I think I watched a couple of games in the regular season and they pretty much had their way with the Lakers. Not saying they were dominant or anything, but they kind of did what they always do, which is 3-pointers and layups. And I think they're a matchup nightmare for the Lakers. I am gonna still pick the Lakers to, win that series, but my jaw wouldn't drop if the Rockets won the series. As you saw last night, they basically dismantled the Lakers in the fourth quarter. Like Eric Gordon just went off, and they had nothing for Harden. Russell Westbrook damn near screwed up everything when he kept trying to, dunk with LeBron behind him. He doing all this stuff. He taking charge. Now he on a poster. Like, I don't know what Russell doing last night doing all that. Like, stop. Don't give this man any opportunities to put you on a poster. Yeah. So, but he did get busy, and then he just had me cracking up when he started yelling at the virtual fans and all that. So they I think it was like he had an and one on Anthony Davis, and then he just kept yelling at the wall and everything. So it's kind of funny. But if Russ has a good game, if Russ is on his game, they're not losing to the Lakers. The Lakers will win as long as Russ. Any game that the Lakers win, it's because Russ struggled. We know what you're going to get from Covington and Harden and all of them, but it's Russ is the key. So I think the Lakers will win that series, but my jaw wouldn't drop with Houston. Toronto and Boston, I thought Toronto would sweep them because I mean, I thought Boston would sweep them because what I saw them do to them in the bubble, they're the only team to beat Toronto in the bubble, by the way. I think they're a matchup nightmare. They have big guards to guard Van Fleet and Lowry. So I always thought that they would destroy them pretty much because the game they beat them in, they annihilated them. It was like a 30-point win. So styles make fights. I think Toronto would have a better chance against Milwaukee or Miami than Boston. So I thought that was gonna be a sweep. But when OG Anunoby hit the shot, I don't know what Taco Fall was doing. Like you 7'7", you could at least jump a little bit. Like every inch count with him. He could have tapped that ball if he could have, but Lowry made a terrible play and Anunoby made an even better shot. So that saved them in the series. So we'll see how that goes. I hope it's a long series because I want to see a long series. I don't want to see sweeps and everything. But speaking of sweeps, the Milwaukee Miami. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought Milwaukee was gonna win this in about 6 games. But wow. Game 1, Jimmy does what Jimmy does. That's why I miss him in Chicago. I hate the fact that the Bulls traded him. So he did his thing, excuse me, in game 1. Game 2 was controversial. The first play with the Dragic and Middleton, I don't think that was a foul. I think the Jimmy Butler Giannis one was even worse. I mean, the ball was already out of his hands, and he just touched his back. Like, come on now.
You don't let the game be decided based on that.
Like come on. Both on both sides. On both sides. I mean, Miami might have won the game if Middleton doesn't hit the 3 free throws anyway. But come on, don't make up the call with another bad call. Like, don't do that. You're gonna mess the series up like that. Now, game 3, I don't know what happened because Milwaukee looked like they was back in business.
Yeah, they came out. Yeah.
Then the fourth quarter happened. And Jimmy outscored the whole Milwaukee team by himself in the fourth quarter. And he's built for that. That's why Jimmy is Jimmy. But yeah, man, that series is over. So I'll give it to you guys now. But that series I think they're gonna close it out tomorrow and they'll be in the Eastern Finals.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say my piece. I'll say my piece when I saw it. But go ahead, Hollister.
All right, so the Clippers and Nuggets series. Oh man, like Tyrone said, with Jamal Murray's facial expression was like, "Oh, we got to play on Thursday." That right there said it all. I think that's gonna be a sweep. And like what Shaq said the other day too, you don't have to worry about traveling. All you gotta do is just walk to your hotel room, rest up, and get ready for the next day. But the Clippers destroyed them. The Clippers back at full strength. I think they're gonna finish them off sweep. I think that's gonna be a sweep. And the Clippers just gonna probably wait for the Rockets or Lakers. That series, oh man, the Rockets, like Tyrone said, the Westbrook on his game. Everybody else will follow. But LeBron and AD, they gonna do their thing. But I don't know if they can stop Westbrook and Harden and Eric Gordon and Covington and PJ Tucker and them guys, because the rest of the guys on the Lakers is trash. Kuzma is trash. Rondo's washed up.
Rondo's got a little something. He just came back. This is the first season he's back. What series he's back?
The only way he might do something if he start a fight.
I knew once you brought up Rondo's name, Michael was gonna say something.
They got Alex Caruso. That guy's garbage. But I do think they still might. That might be a competitive one. I think I don't know. I see that one going 6. I'm not sure who will win, but I see that series going 6. The Celtics and Raptors. I'm pulling for Boston because I can't stay in Toronto. We got to watch.
No, please explain.
The last year's finals, when my boy KD got hurt, they was cheering him. He caused Achilles. So I'm hating on him for that. And the whole OG Anunoby, that was pure luck. He tried to do it. He did the little Derek Fisher joint.
Nah,
that quick.
I don't agree with that being luck.
He was set. The bad part of that play was freaking Taco Fall standing there like a freaking statue, like one of those NFL
freaking. Jaylen Brown left OG wide open.
Left him wide open. Could they anticipate him to get the pass? Like the man threw the pass over his hand, like the thing probably grazed his hairline, and he didn't even do nothing about it.
But I think that woke Boston up. I think that woke them up. They ain't gonna
Taco Fall did exactly what he did in the dunk contest, just stand there.
Nothing.
When Aaron Gordon went over him. So
but I think that woke Boston up. So I think they're gonna get back at them for that.
Boston's gonna win the series. Definitely. I think they match up too well with the Raptors.
And the Milwaukee, oh my god, Miami series, jeez. I mean, I know Jimmy Butler and Bam and them guys are serious, but I didn't expect this. I don't know what to say about Milwaukee.
Yeah, that's a shock.
Yeah, this is a shock. But I knew Jimmy Butler and Bam. I know them boys could play, but I expected Giannis needs some. He needs somebody else. He needs some help.
Yeah, he gonna get some help. We're gonna talk about that in a second.
But that's pretty much on that.
Hey, don't sleep on Goran Dragic because he's playing out of his mind too. Goran Dragic.
What you think, Mel?
All right. So as far as the Raptors and the Celtics, yeah, the Celtics, I think, like Tyron was saying, they just match up too well with the Raptors. They gave them trouble just overall, and I don't see the Raptors being able to come back. Yeah, they got that one game with the controversial. Well, not controversial, but I do feel like Taco Fall. I know what he was doing. It was a good look that they got. Lowry made the pass. He caught it. He released it, and that kept them with some hope. Because without that, they was 100% done. But I still don't think they will be able to bring it back. So I think they got that. As far as the Miami and Milwaukee, yeah, I didn't expect that. I knew Miami. I always felt like Miami would give Milwaukee problems, but I didn't think it would be 3-0. Like
real problems now.
Yeah, I mean Butler is about that life. We all know that. He came to play. Bam doing his thing. Their shooters doing what they got to do. Dragic playing well as well. I mean Giannis does need help. I mean, because Middleton has had it's some decent games. Bledsoe did some stuff defensively, but I just feel like toward the end of games, they just have a problem closing it out because they came out like they wanted it this last game. And then fourth quarter, I know that's also when, Jimmy Butler, I know we was talking about Dame time since the bubble, but Jimmy Butler, he, when it hit that fourth quarter, when the game is online, he going to compete and try to get that win. But I feel like they have problems when they really need somebody to kind of somewhat take over or get points. Like if they pack the paint against Giannis or they do other things, then they don't really have that other person that's going to consistently, definitively get them the points they need. And even with their defense, like they've been getting some stops, but it's not like what it needs to be toward the end of the game. One thing I would say is I hope they give Giannis that MVP like tonight because it'll be sucked for him to get the award when he's not even in the bubble or something.
He might not even get it, man. I think that what they late in the sea, if he gets swept, they were like, "Well, LeBron." No, I'm telling you.
Nah, the voting,
it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be awkward. So,
no,
I mean,
he's getting the MVP because I think they had when you see the finalist order. Sometimes the finalist order is kind of is the results. It actually said Giannis, Harden, LeBron. So I don't even know if LeBron is even second. To be honest with you, but to bring up something with Jimmy for a second, you know he about that life, Malik. When he said, "Nah, my family ain't coming here. This is business."
The business trip.
Yeah, he ain't even bring them. He's like, "Nah, y'all stay home. I got business to handle." And that's washing Giannis. And that's washing Giannis.
Get into that, Malik. You can finish, and then I'm gonna say my piece.
And I think they really have a really good shot, man, going, all the way to the finals. I mean, Celtics will give more of a fight than Milwaukee, I feel like, and that will be interesting to see. But Miami looking real good. As far as Denver and the Clippers, I think Denver had that long series and it took a lot out of them. But I feel like now that they with the Clippers, they just realize it's another level. I mean, Jokic played all right, Jamal played okay, but Kawhi, man, he wanted to. Like when he's out there on the floor,
about that life.
He's about it. Like he really showing people like, nah, even when playoff P was struggling in the other series or whatever, like Kawhi
he looking like
playoff
P now.
But he's looking better. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully this helps him maybe get out of that slump, get a little more confidence or whatever. But I don't see Denver having what it takes to give the Clippers any real trouble. I feel like maybe I'll give him one game if Jamal Murray could get loose in a certain sense, even though it's going to be hard for him to do that with,
Had Beverly on him, so that ain't
Kawhi,
happening,
Pat
bro.
Bev, and and all them on him. I don't see that happening, but Um, then as far as the Houston and Lakers, first of all, I just want to, talk about that James Harden play. Like to get to that round
Oh yeah,
to close out OKC, like that. Like he
Clutch.
was
It was
struggling
clutch.
that game, but that block was clutch. It was clean. It's like he went up, got the block, then he hit him with the dodgeball maneuver, got out of the way of the ball to like keep it in play. I mean, how like that LeBron block is always played. Let's
Yeah.
say Houston were to win or to go far. That I think that's going to be a play that they're going to always show in his highlight
That's
reel.
a real block if you ask me, because it's face to face. All that chase
Yeah,
down, it's cool, but it's a chase down. I've gotten chase down blocks playing basketball in my life. I mean, it wasn't NBA Finals on Andre Iguodala, but I mean, I think they make too much out of it. And Tayshaun Prince is the originator because he did it to your boy Reggie Miller. He did it to your boy Reggie Miller.
man.
he did it smooth too.
So, but I mean, I think they really they just slob him for that crap. It's all right to me, but
Yeah,
I
I don't
think
know if
Harden's
like
was
Harden
great.
saw the Giannis game before where Giannis caught the foul or something, but he also was able to get his hand out the way, not foul him, not hit the shooter, get the block. So yeah, that was he was struggling offensively, but I know there's questions about Harden being clutch or really wanting it or doing what he needs to do, but to like be struggling like that and then to make a key defensive play like that, he definitely earned their trip into the next round. And I do feel like the Rockets matchup is going to be somewhat of an issue for the Lakers. I mean, they do live and die by the three, but I feel like with the small ball, the Lakers will have to make an adjustment. I mean, they did also have some time off, which, and the Rockets were a little, probably in more rhythm. But I want to see another game. But I think the Rockets have a legit chance of, I guess it will definitely be considered an upset in the Lakers. But I'm still leaning toward the Lakers. I feel like if they can get it right defensively and AD and LeBron lock in, and they get some kind of help from somebody, because like Hollister was mentioning too, like when you look at Houston, you have, a lot of other guys that can contribute. You have not just Westbrook and Harden, you have Eric Gordon, you have Covington, you have,
Tucker.
Tucker when he with the corner threes and stuff when he making those, and you
Daniel House
have
Jr.
Daniel House Jr. So they have other people
and your
who have
boy Austin
shown
Rivers.
they can consistently contribute. And so even if it's just two of those guys in the night with James and Westbrook, the Lakers need, as much as AD and LeBron can kind of will themselves to win by themselves, they need some help, whether it's Kuzma on a game,
Trash.
whether it's yeah.
How about this?
Yeah.
What was the whole point? Now, and you can answer this, Melly. What's the whole point in bringing J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters there if you're not playing them?
That too. I was wondering that. I guess they maybe feel like they ain't really learned the plays of the system right, or they don't trust them. I don't know.
That's
But yeah, you would think.
that's some offense right there. They could use both of them guys.
Yeah, they, for all the stuff people talk about
Especially
JR
Dion Waiters.
and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and Waiters, that's one thing he did have. He not always wasn't like focused the way he needed to be, but he could get buckets when he ready. And he won't have a certain pressure like when he was back in Miami, where there was all the focus was on him. He didn't really live up to that. But when you have other people on the court, it's not going to be all on you. So I think he could potentially be effective, and it just gives some other people some run. I guess maybe they too concerned about the chemistry, or they want to kind of have the rotation tight. I don't know, but yeah, it is interesting that they went out of their way to get those guys because they know they needed some offensive power, firepower, and they haven't really been going to them. I mean, Caldwell Pope had one or two good games, but he's not consistent. And Kuzma, I did expect more from him. I know he's been locking in a little more defensively, and he has gotten better defensively. but they do still need his offense. So, you know, but we'll see. But like I said, I want to see another game or two. But I definitely think Houston has a legit shot of upsetting them. But I'm still leaning toward the Lakers. I don't know if some of it had to do, like I said, with them having their layoff and then Rondo, just coming back and them trying to figure some more stuff out. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's some good picks. I mean, I'm gonna go through mine pretty fast, but I think the major issue with a lot of these matchups, yes, honestly, with the Lakers, I'm gonna start with the Lakers since you just finished with that one. The Laker matchup, I missed the game, but I watched the highlights this morning. With that matchup, I can clearly see the problem with that is that Houston is a 3-point shooting team. They have a lot more weapons in regards to that, and because they're smaller, they can spread the floor and kind of run a little bit more. The issue is that you got the big men on the Lakers, especially the most dominant big man, just trying to be a finesse player, not going in the paint. You got PJ Tucker on you. You got freaking whoever else is on you. They're not as tall as you. He needs to be on the block more, be more of like a mid-range threat as opposed to just be running up and down on the high pick and roll or something like that. He had to do something different, and I think that's what it is. LeBron, for what I saw in a couple of minutes that I did see, he was playing aggressive. He was playing, but he's lost a step because I see James Harden mix him up a little bit too, and James Harden gonna get his. As far as the Westbrook thing, he is important and essential, but he was getting to the basket at ease, at will, when he wanted to. But I don't think it lives and die by them like while Westbrook, scoring. I think it's mainly they were hitting their shots, and the Lakers are not a good 3-point defending team, and they're also not a good 3-point shooting team. So if you're getting shot out the gym by threes and you ain't making them points back, it's going to be tough for them to kind of like win a series. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think the Lakers will probably ink this out. I did say when we did our picks that the Houston Rockets will be the actual sleeper team that could actually kind of get in there and do something. But I'm still not 100% on that yet. As far as the Clippers joint, that's like a done deal. That's pretty much going to be a wrap. I think the Denver Nuggets will get a game because sometimes the Clippers will get lax, but now that playoff P is actually playing playoff P, and the fact that they got all them bodies, they got Marcus Morris, you got Montrezl Harrell, you got Lou Williams, you got Patrick Beverley. They got too many weapons, and they defensively sound. And Kawhi Leonard is like a cyborg. He's on a different level when it comes to like trying to like really like match these things and deal with these people. And heck, he wants it. I sent y'all a clip the other day when he passed the ball to Reggie Jackson. I forgot about Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson did some stupid layup.
Hilarious.
He was like, I didn't pass you the ball for that ish. Even though they got a turnover and then like they waited like a few seconds and he's walking back to the bench. He looked right at Reggie Jackson. I didn't pass you the ball for that ish. You know what I'm saying? So he's very locked in and serious. So the Clippers going to be the only team I feel are going to live up to their potential and make it to the finals like everybody expected them to when the season started around this time last year. As far as the Toronto Boston series, I know Toronto and Van Vliet was like, oh, that Boston effed up now and all this, et cetera, right? I don't really think that Toronto is going to really like wash them because Toronto also a team that requires a lot of shooting and different things like that. They do have good defense, but the Celtics can match them in shooting. So the Celtics will definitely match them when it comes to 3-point shooting or jump shooting in general. So that's going to be something that it's going to be hard for them to kind of like get out of there. And I feel that the Celtics just let that one slip away a little bit. That's like a bad play. If they would have played it a little bit tighter and they didn't all collapse on thinking, a lot of times you see that 0.5 seconds, you think they ain't no way to get a shot off. And luck stuff happened. Not luck, but not the shot wasn't lucky, but the circumstance was a lucky circumstance that the ball got him right on the money. He was right in his shooting motion and he got it off in time. So I do think that Toronto might push another game or two but I can kind of see Celtics winning that one without any issue really, especially the way Kemba and I've been playing. As far as the Bucks series, that was a real shock to me, and as I was alluding to earlier, making jokes like subliminal saying that they're going to get swept. They're going to get swept. I think that it's too much pressure right now on them. Like when you down the whole 3-0. Yeah, you can have that mantra like we got to win 4 straight. Yeah, that is possible. You can win 4 straight games, but I highly doubt Miami's going to like slip up 4 times. Giannis have to come out like Jordan, and I'm talking about like Jordan hitting threes and doing everything, and that's where the problem starts. I watched some of the game. They play in the 3-2 zone. They have 3 bodies up top, 2 under low. They ain't worried about the people down low. Everybody want to shoot threes. And when you're not making your shots, you're not going to make your shots. So if I'm playing 3-2, I can stop Giannis from that drive. Because I know every time Giannis get the ball and he's bringing the ball up and bringing the ball down the court, They got that 3-2. They stop him in the middle, and what Giannis does, he kick it out to the shooters. The shooters ain't hitting the shot. He ain't got no lane. He ain't got no leverage. You know what I'm saying? He only could do but so much. And yes, Middleton had a couple of good games. Bledsoe might have had a game or two, but it's not a consistent thing. They have a lot of turnovers, and defensively they look lost. And then, like I said, the Heat been hitting a lot of threes. You got that boy Robinson hitting them threes. You got Jimmy Butler and them who hit threes. Jay Crowder's hitting three. Dragic is cutting into the basket, doing his thing. He can hit threes.
Tyler Hero.
Our heroes hitting threes. Like, they just putting threes on their head. Then you got Bam. Bam is not even a traditional center, and he down there cooking. You know what I'm saying? What they need to do, and then look, Brook Lopez, as skilled as he was when he's on the Nets and a skilled player, he don't like to be in the block like that, and he can't work. He's mad slow. You know what I'm saying? The cats get around him like it's nothing. So
I actually have to disagree with you. I think Brook Lopez is the best player playing the best out of Middleton. I think he's had the best series out of all of them.
I'm not taking nothing away from him. What I'm trying to say is that, as far as my point, like, for instance, like with Brook Lopez, he has to be on the block. You got to take advantage of that height. I'm not trying to say that Bam and him ain't strong and Bam is not a tall guy, but Bam is not a traditional center. You need to put that body on him and really make him work down low. Use your footwork and get busy on him down low. Tire him out so you don't be catching them lobs and banging it on your head. You know what I'm saying? Then also, same thing with the Lakers situation. You got Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee gonna play center, but Anthony Davis. I saw somebody had a meme talking about Anthony Davis. They had him like a guy dancing, looking at barbecue chicken in the microwave, and saying that's Anthony Davis when he looked at the Houston Rockets. No, he's not even playing it. They play into their strength. He's staying outside shooting shots. You got to get in the block. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I do think the Bucks will win a game. They have, as far as a pride game, they might win a game or two. Well, honestly, if they don't win tomorrow, they got no choice. They got to keep winning. So I don't think they're gonna get swept. I think they might win tomorrow, but if they do get swept and they lose the series, I'm pretty confident that either two things are going to happen. Either Bud is going to get fired, right? Because that's the trend that's going on now, or Giannis is definitely leaving. To where, I'm not sure. I mean, we've been doing this for almost 2 hours as far as the conversation, so we can do speculation of where they're going to leave if they end up leaving losing this series. We can talk about that then. But I'm pretty confident that Giannis is going to leave, because at the end of the day, you can't do so much. You know what I mean? I can only be, the Greek freak running to the basket and doing that thing. Brandon, his skill set is there. He's kind of limited on certain things. He doesn't really have crazy ball handling skills, and he can't really shoot like that. But to be that type of player he is trying to do his thing. But when you load it up on him, if the other guys ain't doing their part, it makes my job harder. He's not a short person that had the skill set to do all that finesse to get around. It's not like that. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where I start. That's where I was disagreeing with you about the whole people helping Giannis. How about Giannis getting the goddamn gym and get a jump shot? Like, you didn't learn your lesson from last year with Toronto. When the pandemic was going on, he's shooting threes, but he also shooting air ball free throws. Can you work on that stuff, man? His free throws are hard. He's a horrible free throw shooter. Horrible. Every game I've watched of him in the bubble, he shot at least 1 or 2 air balls and free throw line. Like, I'm not even.
Yeah, and the way he plays, having like a good percentage free throw.
And then he's shooting three. Like, they're giving you that 3-point shot. You know why? Because you can't shoot them. Okay, you may hit a couple, but when he was going through the pandemic, when the pandemic was going on, he said, "Oh, all I've done is work out. I didn't take any shots." Like, what? What?
And it's showing.
Listen, he's the MVP. Don't get me wrong, but your playoff performances, I'm not blaming the others on this one. Like, it starts from the star. If the star isn't playing well, like we criticized James Harden for years on his performances. It's time to give Giannis his criticism too. I'm not blaming Middleton's had a better series than him. I think Brook Lopez has had a better series than him. They're in my opinion, are the 2 best players on Milwaukee right now in the series. I don't see. Listen, Brook, game 2 was a little shaky for him, but game 1 and the game yesterday,
game 3,
Brook Lopez was the one putting in work early, and he was in the post at times. Now, don't get me, he doesn't post up like he used to in the Brooklyn Net days, but please. And Chris Middleton, he's carrying the scoring load. Because Giannis is all right. Giannis is getting 12, 13, 14 rebounds, but he's not even cracking 25 points. Like, come on now. I'm not. I don't even want to hear these excuses about Giannis.
But she's not really necessarily an excuse. I do agree that he should step it up, but it's hard for a player to step it up. Look, he is kind of one-dimensional when it comes to certain things. I get it. Like, he come charging down, he do a little, Euro step. He got the long stride to get to the basket. But
that's all he got. That's all he got.
I'm trying to say that when mad people are on you, he is supposed to be that way. Like for instance, when Michael Jordan was doing his thing, even though Michael Jordan was scoring, he was killing. When he started to win more, was like, you know what? I'm gonna dish out to the cats and trust my teammates and do that. If you trust in your teammates and they breaking, or they trust in your teammates and they ain't getting no baskets and they mad turnovers, it's gonna be tough. But
All right,
like
yeah, go ahead.
all I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to say that I'm not like Giannis any excuses saying that it's not his fault. He got to do something. But at the end of the day, I watched those highlights. The rest of the team is not playing that well. Like, don't get me wrong, Brook Lopez doing this thing. Middleton has been a little bit more consistent in this series, right? But at the same time, those are supposed to be like your main bread and butter guys. Like, if you ain't on, they supposed to be leading the people. So if Middleton is hitting his threes and he's cooking, then they'll focus on him. Then that could free me up as Giannis to do my thing. But if everybody making mistakes, everybody breaking, they hitting 1,000 threes, nobody defending nobody. You know what I'm saying? Then they gonna get swept. They gonna get swept if they don't step up that tomorrow.
Listen,
they going home.
Listen. Giannis needs to work in the gym. We can't let's stop bringing Michael Jordan name up in some things, because at least Michael Jordan was an established scorer. He just didn't trust his teammates to get involved. Giannis is not a great offensive player, and then when he struggles, everybody blames the team. Like, no, I'm sorry. I've watched this whole series. Chris Middleton is the best offensive player on that team. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't even see. Giannis, it's not even close.
Like 30 points a game, bro. Almost.
No, he's not. No, he's not. I don't even think he cracked 20 yesterday.
I'm not talking about in the series. I'm talking about as far as his career. Like this season. He's
okay, but you said exactly why. A bunch of Euro steps and
yeah, but I mean, it's working. But you know why it was working back then? Is because of the fact that people on his team was cooking, so they can't. If I instance, if Middleton hitting his shots, Connaughton is hitting his shots, Brook Lopez hitting his shots, or whoever Bledsoe hitting his shots, right? Freaking Matthews hitting their shots, right? They can't do that brick wall thing that they typically will do against Giannis. But when them other cats are bricking and they spazzing, right? Then yeah, I could do the brick wall because I don't worry about. I'm stopping Giannis. If I stop Giannis, then we know the rest of the team can't beat us, and that's what they pretty much saying. So they said, let the other guys beat us. We're gonna stop Giannis, right? Because they don't believe that the other guys can score consistently, right? Like an inverse, right? They say this the inverse with the Lakers. They'll let LeBron go off because the other guys ain't gonna do nothing, right? So they won't even waste their effort trying to guard LeBron. Now, granted, LeBron got more, offensive attributes than Giannis, so that's why they said you can't really stop him. So let's worry about the other guys. But this one, they know that Giannis ain't really a shooter. So I agree with you. Giannis needs to work on the shot. He has been working on it, but he's not a pure shooter. He ain't like no Miller.
Really?
Like yeah, man.
He's working on it.
He never shoot no threes. He was hitting them threes.
Listen, man, he need to work on his offense because he hasn't worked on it. I don't know what you're talking about, and he worked on them free throws too.
The free throws,
he looking like that's Shaq. He making Shaq free throws look better than his right now. I think Shaq wasn't shooting air balls like this.
I mean, see what happened.
Listen, I promise you.
Figure out the way to do it. And trying to make it soft enough to make it go in the net. He just shooting them a little short. Go ahead.
I promise you. Just watch the game tomorrow. I guarantee you, one time during the game, he's going to shoot an air ball. It's going to happen. It's no exaggeration. It happens in every game with him. I'm like, yo, what is this?
You see, but that's part of learning the skill sets. Like fancy, like when you're a shooter, right? Like sometimes guys will put the arc in and shoot it this way. So he's trying to do those mechanics, right? And then that's why they're coming up short because he's trying to not hit the back of the rim or hit the backboard. He's trying to just hit net. So when he's doing it, it's going to come on air ball. It's going to come up short. But what he needs to do is get more comfortable. If he want to shoot a little bit harder, do it like I forgot what basketball player used to do that. Where they
shoot with like Rick Barry underhand because he need to work on something.
Or shoot like maybe higher instead of right at the line, a little bit higher off the line, and shoot like that. So then that way your shots will have a better chance of making it in.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think Dwight Howard at one time was shooting like further away from the line.
Yeah. There was another basketball player I knew who was doing that and was still shooting like that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, I think they're gonna still lose. But it's what it is. Like I said, the next time we have these conversations, because we're gonna probably wrap this up. I think it's going on 2 hours.
I'm going on fumes right now.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap this up. But the next time we come back, it depending what happens tomorrow and next week, we'll say our prediction if Giannis will stay or not. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for.
Oh wait, I just want to say one quick thing. Yeah,
that's our fault because we was running and we forgot that.
My bad, guys.
I was gonna bring it up earlier when I was talking about the Houston OKC, but I just want to say, like, Chris Paul has had a phenomenal year as a human being. Like, not even just as a basketball player. He was discarded pretty much by Houston. Went out there, which was supposed to be a wasteland of OKC. took them, defied expectations. Nobody expected them to do what they did. They actually almost made it to the semifinals, the second round. And what he's done off the court as the president of the NBA Players Association, working with the league to get the whole bubble instituted, and his help with the social justice stuff. This has been a phenomenal year for him. I know it didn't end the way he would have liked, but I just wanted to acknowledge that too, because I know he was emotional too somewhat after losing and all that. But this year, like what he was able to do on the basketball court and off the court, I just wanted to kind of acknowledge that and shout that out, because he really did his thing.
Off the court, I agree with, but on the court, good riddance.
I just want to do real quick. I want to congratulate Brandon Ingram on winning Most Improved.
Oh yeah.
I want to congratulate Giannis on winning Defensive Player of the Year, Montrezl Harrell for winning Sixth Man of the Year, and Ja Morant for winning Rookie of the Year. Well deserved.
So that's it. So we're gonna wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, thanks for coming out town. Thanks for coming out, even though you kind of sick and all that. Alistair, Menelik, good looking.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like, thank you guys for listening. I know this is a long one, but it's entertaining. Pause. So y'all gotta worry about that. Anyway, we talk to you guys later. Enjoy this long weekend. Hopefully, I get this video up sometime today or tomorrow. So y'all get it for the Labor Day joint, and take care.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.